Hi everybody, welcome back to Level Uploading Fight Feelings Face Facts with yours truly, Shay. So, this pop-in is actually going to be something that has been on my heart, something that I've been dealing with in my own personal life, and something that I think that everyone can probably relate to in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
So I want to talk about our parents. I want to talk about parenting and our parents. So as we begin our healing and level up, process and the journey that is, we will start to heal. We will start to kind of address some of the things that make us us, some of the things that make us respond the way that we do, some of the things that make us triggered, some of the reasons why we're triggered, and surprise, surprise, of course, it's no shocker. A lot of that has to do with our parents. And something that has been extremely freeing for myself personally is just having the forgiveness in my heart and the grace that I would want someone to extend to me if I were a parent, just especially a first-time parent. I mean, whether you're a first-time parent or not, there's literally no manual, no instruction book, no how-to. And even when there are, that's all subjective as well. All of that is up to personal preference. That's propaganda. It can be different lifestyles, different viewpoints, different classes. Everything don't work for everybody. Parenting is not one size fit all because kids are not one size fit all. I think we can all agree on that, no matter what our viewpoint on it is, whether that is soft parenting or, corporate punishment or somewhere in between, timeouts, no punishment at all, free for all. I mean, I've seen all different type of parenting styles, but I think that we can all agree that no kid is exactly the same. For instance, like I always talk about my mom always talks about me when I was a little baby or a toddler. She would sit me down, give me something to do, don't move. She'd be able to take a nap. She'd be able to, rest. If I needed something, I would tap her, get her. She'd help me, and we'd move on. My sister, on the other hand, was the second baby. Shout out to you, Ray. She was a little bit different. Let's just say that. She was a little bit different.
Don't do it.
Sis was, she's about that life. You could think she finna sit there. If you want to, we gonna wake up. She gonna be outside somewhere. Or it's gonna be a painting on the wall. I did that too, but whatever. It's gonna be, the snacks gonna be, she gonna be in the closet somewhere eating snacks. She gonna be in the toy house up. That was just the type of, child she was. So if my mom, you just wanted this cookie cutter, one size fit all parenting style for just my kids, just how to treat them, it wouldn't have worked because we were just different. And then on the flip side of our personalities, like I was more of a I'll figure it out, independent, just do my own thing. Don't really not, not really super dependent. My sister, she really is similar to me in that way, but she does, she's a little bit more hands-on. She's, she knows she has that good balance of being interdependent, where I am extremely independent. And so she knows how to have her, independence, but also integrate people into it. And myself personally, that is something that the Lord and myself are still working on. And it's been like that. Like, that's not even because of trauma. That's not even because of anything that has happened. That's literally, since I was a baby, I've been like that. Nothing had happened to me just yet, but, scientists might disagree. Who knows? But in my opinion, pretty much since birth, that's just been my personality trait, and we differ. So I just said all that. I just said all that to basically say, like, parents are people, and our parents cannot just base all of their skills of parenting, whatever they accumulate, whatever they try, they can't base it all on, for one, this cookie cutter method, because talking to one kid could work versus making one kid get a punishment. Taking something away from one kid might work, but saying you're disappointed to another kid might work. You have to try to figure out what works best for your child and their personality traits and their how they are. Kids are people, and also parents are people. So also we have to take into account that, like I said, there's no rule book, but also our parents were kids before too, and they have their own trauma. They have their own reasons for why they're the way that they are. They have their own reasons for why they think that their methods are best. They have their own identity crisis. They have their own projections. They have their own regrets in life that could potentially shape and scope how they see the world, which they would, of course, project onto you. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not saying this in a negative or positive way, but we just have to really realize that just because you become a parent doesn't mean that you're just automatically just going to know how to do it. That you're going to be able to push aside everything that you've gone through yourself, and just magically become this mystical, miracle, fantastic parent. I'm sorry. I wish it was that way. It'd be best if it was that way, but it's just not that way. And I feel as though a lot of times we don't have a lot of grace for our parents. We just kind of judge them based off of what they should have did, what they could have did, what we feel would have been the best way to handle things. And although there are times where that is still a very real emotion and very much a real scenario, because there are things that our parents could have done better, should have done better. But when you really take a step back from it, and instead of thinking about this is my mom or this is my dad, or even trickle down to even like family figures, they are human. They have their traumas. They have their abandonment issues. They have their insecurities. They have their problems, coping. And sometimes, unfortunately, that can bleed over into how they interact with you. And a lot of times, this is something that I was actually just talking to my friend about the other day. I think about my generation of parents, not my parents, but like the people that are my age group that are parents now. And one thing I've noticed is that a lot of times the millennial group of parents are really focused a lot on giving our kids what we never had. And I think that's amazing. I think that's dope. I think that's a great concept. But I don't know if we found that good balance of integrating core skills, hard working, the value of $1, things like that. I don't know if we have got that part mastered yet. I do think that we're being a lot more accountable and we're showing up for our kids in my generation. Shout out to my millennials. But I do think that some of the parenting, and this is just a personal opinion, I'm not a parent, but I have been a kid. So I always say that. Like, a lot of people say, well, you don't understand how it is to be a parent. And I don't. I will never negate that. But I also know how I felt as a kid with parents in the past. And so I just kind of place myself in a kid's shoes. I just have a lot of empathy for them when they're going through different things. And then I think about the fact that they're navigating something so completely different. So millennials and, even my mom and them, they had to navigate it, but it wasn't as bad. Really navigating like where social media has such a big part in like everything that your child does, what they want to do, what they see, the terminology that they have access to, the different viewpoints that they have access to, the different lifestyles that they have access to. I cannot imagine having to navigate that in this 2023. I'm pretty sure if I had TikTok when I was 16, I would have been talking about narcissism and gaslighting and manipulation and all this. I can't imagine being a parent with a child that has access to all these different scientific knowledge is power, but it can also be a pain in the butt too. So, I just can't imagine having to navigate that, having to be careful with your child and what they're posting. And like I said, my generation, we had our stuff. We had our little stuff, but social media was just kind of coming into the scene. It's nowhere near as integrated into society as it is now. Like you can't even go anywhere. Like back in my day, it was like, okay, you had to go get on the computer if your mama lets you, and if the dial-up was working and she wasn't on the phone, you go to the computer, you'd be on the chat for a little while, or you'd be well, I never had MySpace, but people had MySpace and things like that. But it wasn't at the palm of your hand all day long. It wasn't quite at the point where it was such an integral part of society, where it was helping to make so many decisions, so many of the processes that our kids go through. They utilize social media to find out about them. They use social media to find out stuff that they aren't supposed to find about. That they are supposed to find out about. They use social media to find out things that they should know. It's like the gift and the curse. But on this level of journey, and as you begin to heal, just give your parents some grace. Know your dad should not have abandoned you, and hopefully he will find a way to come back and make it up to you in some way, and you guys can repair that relationship. Know your mom shouldn't have treated you poorly, or called you out your name, or degraded you, or made you feel as though you were a burden. But that didn't come from anywhere. She probably experienced something herself that, made her that way. And that's not to make an excuse. It's just the reality of things. So just try to have some grace for your parents. And that's something that I am always working on. And just, if you can, if you have the type of parents where you can talk to them, do so. I mean, do it in a respectful way. Do it in a calm way. Do it in a way that is, the least offensive. Because we don't want them to go on the defense. But I do think that it's worth having conversations, especially if it's someone who is willing to listen. I know we are not all blessed with parents who are, the most open to accountability. Not everyone has that that skill set under their belt. So, I mean, you have to be the judge of that. But either way, it's in your personal heart and in your mind. You need to figure out a way to begin to forgive them, to begin to heal that inner child, and to give them the grace that you would want to be given, because we're all trying to figure this thing out. None of this is easy. None of this is cookie cutter. None of this is, a walk in the park. It's not a cakewalk. Life is hard. And parenting, I'm sure, is even harder. It looks hard. That's why I haven't done it.
We don't care.
If you're on my Anchor, you guys got voice messages that you can leave me. I have an anonymous feedback thingy where you can, give me feedback or give me ideas. I set up my Linktree so you can figure out all the different places where you would be able to listen and view my podcast. I hope you guys are enjoying the slow growth, but growth nonetheless, of this podcast. I am taking this very seriously. I'm taking you guys very seriously. I love you so much. I hope you all have an amazing, amazing, amazing evening. Talk to you on my next episode. Bye.